thank you for joining me for Q Wellness Gentle Hatha Yoga. Of course, if you don't know me, my name is Amber, if you happen to be catching the recording. So grateful for those of you that are joining me live on Zoom today. So blocks a strap today of some sort. If you don't have a yoga strap, a man's tie works, you can use a dog's leash, a bathrobe tie, anything that works, that you can get a little bit of length out of. We're going to work on our hamstrings and our hips a little bit today and the mobility. And a blanket always for knee comfort. If you need that, that's always a really good thing to have. And also a towel, or I'm sorry, the blanket to sit on, or I'm sitting on a block. Just I prefer sitting on top of something. It just gives my spine a little bit more length. And because I have such tight hamstrings, it allows my legs to relax a little bit. So maybe you like sitting on something, maybe you don't. It is completely up to you. And with that said, just listen to your body as we move through our practice today. If there's something that doesn't feel good in your body, I want to encourage you to move in a way that does feel good. If there is a shape and it's like, ooh, that's a little uncomfortable, but there's no pain. And maybe it could be just a little stretch or, something like that. Just allow yourself to breathe for a couple of moments. Notice if there's any change. Now, if there's no change, then you can go ahead and switch. But oftentimes, our muscles, when we move into these shapes in our yoga poses, we don't do them every day. Or it's not like like pigeon. It's not like a normal position that you would be in during the day. So your body is kind of like, let me assess the situation a little bit. So just breathe, and if it continues to soften, perfect. If it continues to stay tight, maybe just let let your pressure or come out of your stretch a little bit more, and just guiding yourself by paying a little bit more attention to what's happening and being present. So, as you find your seat, I want to invite you to have that nice tall spine. So, take a deep breath, lengthening through the spine, crown of the head to the sky. And as you exhale, you can soften those shoulders away from the ears and go ahead and tuck the tummy just a little bit. You just want to get a little bit of engagement there. And you may feel your sits bones shift down just a little bit. And we really want our energy to drop down. We want to get out of our head here and we want to drop down, not necessarily into our butts, but yes, a little bit. Softening the legs, relaxing the arms and the fingers, and just really giving yourself a space to be. And we're really claiming this space, right? We're tall, we're sitting proudly, really claiming our body and our space today. And you can close your eyes if you'd like. You can allow your gaze to soften past your nose if closing your eyes completely does not feel good to you. And then just allow yourself to find your breath. So breathing in through the nose. And you can either breathe out the nose or a nice little sigh out through the mouth. Always feels good. And I also would love for you just to kind of notice where your breath is today. Do you have to work to fill the lungs a little bit deeper, which is fine? You'll be able to greaten that capacity for the breath as we move through our practice, right? Because we don't stay here all day and just breathe deeply. So the first couple might feel a little strained. And we're just inviting in the breath, releasing it, letting go of the day, the night, letting go of any chores, anything that has to be done. We've accomplished the hardest part, and that's just getting to our mats. We're here together as a community, and I'm so grateful for that. So I've just got a real quick line to read from you, A Beginner's Guide to the Universe by Mike Dooley. This is each year I pick a new book to go through, and this is one that I found at a thrift store when I was visiting my parents in New Mexico last month. So, the path to enlightenment is not a path at all, but a metaphor for the time it takes to live in joy, no matter what. Isn't that awesome? A metaphor for the time it takes to live in joy, no matter what. So we always look at this path of enlightenment as, we're going to reach samadhi, which is the final destination. This is like where the monks get to, where they can sit and meditate for hours on end in the Himalayan mountains, just as a person that just kind of shows up to their day. We're not meditating 24 hours a day. The path to enlightenment is a little bit more rocky. Takes a little bit more time, a little bit more surprise along the way. But if we can just think in our hearts, like, wow, what can bring me joy today? What can bring me joy in this moment? That's we're on our path to enlightenment. I love that so much. So I'd love for you just to kind of place that in your heart today and just let that be a guide. And hopefully it'll be a little bit of remembrance that you can come back to as you start to step off your mat and move into the day and the busyness and the who's its and what's of our normal lifetime. So I'd love for you to take your hands and just place them over your heart for just a couple of moments. Settle back into those sits bones, relax the shoulders away from the ear, soften the space around the eyes and the jaw, and sink into your heart space. Let your awareness move behind the hands into that chakra space. And just ask yourself, what brings me joy? What is a simple pleasure that makes me smile? And then let the corners of your mouth start to reach up to the ears and just give yourself a little smile of knowing. And then when you're ready, let's just breathe in. We're going to lift the hands to the sky. And I do know that somebody joined us. Grab a strap, please. Clasp the wrist on the left side. We're just going to take a nice little lateral stretch to the right. Soften that right shoulder. And we're letting our left hip sink down so we can really elongate this space here. Now, we're not pulling or tugging. This is just a nice, just soft reach. We're exploring, right? We're finding that joy in these little stretches to open up the body. And then when we're ready to come up, we're going to do it on an inhale. And I'm going to encourage you to connect your belly button to spine as you come up. And let's go ahead and switch gears, switch the wrist and reach to the left. And you'll notice perhaps that one side has quite a bit more mobility than the other. Let that right hip sink down. And then connect to the core, draw in a breath, lift yourself up. We're going to do that one more time. I'm going to encourage you to stretch just a little bit further. Connect to the core. Keep your left arm where it is. We're going to drop the right hand down, find some support, and then stretch even just a little bit more. And then maybe this time we open our shoulders to the back, our left shoulder to the back of the room, and perhaps we gaze past our armpit. Totally optional. All things are always optional. And then, so if you brought your shoulder back, let's straighten the body back into center and just let that left arm sweep down. Draw yourself around, bring both hands back to center, clasping right wrist and exhaling, reaching to the left. Right hip stretches towards the floor. And let's take a little bit deeper stretch, connecting to the core, letting our left hand come on down, and then see if we can reach just a little further. You might notice more of a stretch in the belly as you reach. And then if it feels good, let's draw that right shoulder back and maybe gaze past our armpit. Again, completely optional. But we do want to have that core engaged because we don't want all of our weight in the wrist, of course, and we want to keep our hips balanced. Go ahead and bring that shoulder back, set up nice and straight, and then exhale and release that arm down. And we're going to bring both hands up one more time, clasp those fingers together, turn the palms high. Nice deep breath in, nice deep breath out, settle your booty down. Take a big breath in, and then the next time you exhale, we're going to stretch our palms forward. If it feels good, you can round through the spine. If you have kyphosis and you're already rounded through the spine a little bit, let's avoid rounding the spine and just drop chin to chest. Breathing in and up, connecting to the core, stretching the palms out in front of us. We're going to reach all the way up. And then exhale, release it all the way down, stretching gently through the fingers and the wrists. Let's do that one more time. Breathe in and up. And exhale, release. Go ahead and leave that chin to chest. Soften the shoulders, relax the hands at the knees, and roll the spine up, keeping chin to chest. And we're just going to notice a little stretch at the base of the neck. And if you want, you can do smileys, and that's just drawing your chin from one shoulder to the other. And then go ahead and start to make circles with your neck, nice and slow. And if circles doesn't feel good, if circling does not feel good, then just look side to side. But I want to invite you to do it slowly and mindfully. After you've done 3, one direction, if you're circling, switch. And then chin to chest on your last one, and just roll the head up. Maybe right ear, right shoulder, maybe a little back and forth here. Perfect. And so we're going to move on to our backs. But before we do, I would love for you just to rotate your wrists a little bit and find some movement in your fingers, because you're going to be holding onto the strap. And I know that can get a little bit tiresome. So let's go ahead and wake up those wrists a little bit. Just playing. You can bring the hands together and just kind of find this fun, wavy, playful motion. You can pretend that you are a break dancer and you can make waves with the arms, whatever feels good, right? Right? We're looking for our joy. So why not a little fun, something that's going to make you giggle and feel a little silly. All right, my dears, let's go ahead and rest on our backs. You can put the blocks aside. Do grab that strap. And we're going to play with opening up the hips a little bit and getting a nice little stretch through the hamstrings. So go ahead and rest back. And we're going to start with the right leg. So your left leg, there's a couple things you can do. And it's going to depend on how your back and your hamstrings feel. But you can keep your left leg bent, and then just reach up and set your strap around the balls of your feet. If you have a yoga strap, you can set it up so there's a little loop, or if you don't, you're just going to end up holding both ends of the strap. And so once you get your leg up, I'd love for you to make sure that your femur is like really plugged into that hip there. And then you can relax the leg out, the left leg, and see how that feels. Feels too tense on your low back or your hamstring, you're welcome to bring the leg back up. So we're just gonna rest here, relax your shoulders back, and we want to press the heel to the sky. And honestly, there's not a lot of work being done here because your strap pulling down should be what's lifting your heel to the sky. I'm always a little surprised at how I look when I am doing my shapes. Because right now I'm looking at my leg here and I was like, oh, I'm pretty straight. And then I look at the camera, I'm like, oh, I'm definitely not straight. Very tight. We're just going to take a few more breaths here. And static stretching is so unbelievably good for your body. And I know it's tedious sometimes, and I know it takes a little bit of patience, but it's so good because it really, not only is it more gentle on your muscles, but it helps your parasympathetic nervous system to kick in and to be aware that you are safe, that nothing funny is happening or anything like that. Um, so just keep that in mind when you're doing stretching and stuff, especially when we're not warmed up. Slower, more long stretching is always best. So we're going to take this leg and we're just going to, or this foot, sorry, and we're going to take our toes and we're going to shift them to the right, so away from the body. And your heel is going to come midline. And you may move an inch, you may move 2 inches. It just kind of depends on how flexible you are here. You may barely move at all. And just again, find that space where we don't really want to go over an edge. So just find the space where it's like, oh, wow, I can really feel that. And then maybe back off just a teensy little bit. Take a couple of breaths, notice if the muscle starts to relax, and then you can move into it a little bit deeper. Just listening to the body. Feels good to just relax, doesn't it? And then, so we're going to do this to the opposite way. So you're going to rotate your toes in and you're going to rotate your heel out. And this one, it's like, I'm barely even moving. This is hardly happening. But when you stretch it, you're going to get a nice little stretch in through the calf and also the front of the leg too, a little bit in the shin. You might notice that your quad, your thigh area is also connecting quite nicely. And then we're going to take a break here in just a second. So hold on for just a few more breaths. And then go ahead and straighten out the leg. And we're going to drop down into a half happy baby. And I'm just going to use my strap here. I'm not going to reach my hand to the other side of my foot. You may feel a little bit differently, but I just want to take it easy here. I don't want to draw my knee quite down into my armpit yet. So I'm just going to rest it here for just a few breaths. And then we're going to do my favorite move when we're working through this series in just a moment here. And as I breathe, I can feel my knee kind of sinking down a little bit further, giving my hamstring in the back of the leg um, permission to relax and release a little bit more deeply. So let's go ahead and reach the leg up. And I love this one because we get to just kind of let our leg do its thing. So you're going to take your strap and just allow your leg to relax. And then you're going to use your arms, your hands to guide your leg in a circle. I'm hoping you have room to be able to do this. If not, just do a little bit more controlled circle. But your leg is like dead weight, and you're literally just hauling it up and down. And then once you do about 3 in one direction, we're going to do 3 in the opposite way. This is my last time here. One more circle. I'm going to bring my leg back up. And I'm going to do to kind of check in. I can go a little bit deeper. I'm going to take 2 breaths, softening the shoulders. And then from here, I'm going to stretch my right leg out and I'm going to let it drop to the right. I'm going to scoot my hips over just a little bit so I have some room. Now, as you're dropping it over, if you find any tension in your knee, bend the knee a little bit. If you're finding that the leg maybe is close to the floor, but not quite, and you're feeling tension in that inner thigh, place a block somewhere along the leg to give it a little extra support. And you can lift your toes a little bit closer to you or relax the leg. I want you to be able to do what you feel is right. Our left hip is on the ground, so we're not rolling off to the right. And we're going to take 3 more breaths here. And then you're going to take your hand and you're going to lift your leg all the way up, and we're going to come into a little supine twist here. So I'm going to have to walk my body off to the right side of the mat a little bit, but then you're just going to drop your leg off to the side. Just allow your hip to roll. And you can open up through the upper body too if that feels good. But I really want your right leg to be soft, like your strap is kind of controlling how far the leg is coming down to the ground. Because we do want this subtle stretch, but if you want, you can put a block underneath too. One more breath. Connect to your core. You can bend your knee a little bit as you bring it in too. And I'm going to grab the strap in my right hand to just kind of help me come back over into our little half happy baby. And then I'm going to take that off my leg. I'm going to center myself back in the mat and relax the right leg out. And go ahead and wiggle your toes a little bit from side to side. You can bounce the legs. And then for a couple of breaths, I'd love for you to just find stillness. And compare your legs. Like my left leg just feels heavy, and my right leg, like it's buzzing all the way from my hip crease down to my toes. It feels so much lighter. Like I can tell that I've stretched the muscles. I've really got some blood flowing. And it feels lighter than the left. So go ahead and bring both feet to the mat so our knees are pointing towards the sky. We're going to go ahead and do that sequence on the left. So put the strap around your left foot. And again, we're just paying a little bit of attention to notice if our right leg feels best with it bent, or if you can lay it down flat. And so we're just drawing the toes towards us. We're pressing the heel up. And like I said before, you really don't have to press the heel up because you're pulling the toes down. It should do it naturally. But just kind of notice maybe the pressure. If it feels too much, then relax it a little bit. Soften your shoulders down towards the floor, relaxing the eyes. Let's take 2 more breaths here, really settling into this. And then go ahead and drop that knee down and let's come into that half baby. Let's stretch the leg up and we're going to do our circles. So stretch the leg up and hold on to your strap in whatever way feels good. And then just start to do circles. And remember, our leg is just like dead weight, and we're just allowing our arms, our hands to guide it in these big, beautiful circles. Of course, if you have the space, if you don't have the space, we'll do the circles in whatever fashion that fits, meaning smaller circles. Three on one side, three on the other. And then after that third, coming back to center. And then we're going to dip that leg off to the side. Making sure we're noticing any pressure in the knee. So bend the knee a little bit if you want to. And then also pay attention to where your heel is. I can notice a little difference, whether my heel is dipped down or it's flat out. I can notice a difference in my knee, behind the knee, on the side of the knee. And remember, our right hip is anchored. 2 more breaths. And then when you're ready, take both hands, draw that leg up. And we're going to take that supine twist to the right. So you might have to shift your hips off to the left side of the mat and then drop that left leg over. And see if you can relax just a little bit more. And then connecting to your core, we're going to draw that leg back. Shift your hips one last time, coming into a happy baby. Go ahead and take that strap off, and you can set it off to the side. And then relax the leg again, give it a little shake, shake, shake from side to side. And then find stillness. And then again, looking at the difference between the legs. I should say, feeling the difference between the legs. So go ahead and bring the soles of the feet to the mat. And then from here, we're going to shift our hips off to the side, and we're going to just roll onto all fours. So go ahead and make your way into a tabletop position, taking your time. Spreading those fingertips out nice and wide. And then from here, we're just going to turn our toes under, and we're going to lift into our downward facing dog. If downward facing dog isn't in your wheelhouse today, you're just going to stay in your tabletop and just press the right leg out and press the left leg out. Just looking for a little extra stretch behind the legs. And then from here, take your gaze to your hands and start to walk forward nice and carefully into a forward fold here. And I'm going to grab one of my blocks just so I have a little bit more support here. Lengthening through the spine, flat back. And then we're going to go ahead and take our right foot back and just place it maybe about 2 feet from your heel of the left foot. And go ahead and turn the heel in a little bit so your toes point out. We're going to take our left hand and plant it down and open up through the side body. Press into that front heel. We're going to bend into the knee a little bit, hug in your low belly, and press yourself up nice and slow. Beautiful. Let's just take a little peaceful warrior here. Now, our stance isn't as wide as it normally is, but it's okay. It's all good. We're going to exhale, and we're just going to come right back down. So you can cartwheel your hands nice and slow. Look forward if you feel any dizziness. Now, as we come here, we're going to flip our right foot so the toes are pointed forward. So we come into our pyramid pose. And so you can come to a flat back here. If you have the flexibility, you're welcome to take your nose to knee. What I really want you to pay attention to is your hips, making sure that your hips are flat so your right hip isn't shifting towards the sky, and you'll notice your left knee might bend a little bit. So if you shift your right hip down, your left hip is going to shift back a little bit. We're going to get a little bit more stretch in that left leg, pressing into the big toe of the left foot and pressing into the heel and then the toes of the right. So now if you'd like, we're going to come into warrior 3. So I'm going to take my block and put it forward just a little bit more. I'm going to bend into my left leg, keeping my back straight, connecting to my core, lifting up my right heel, straightening out left leg, and then lift the right leg any amount. And it might just be that you lift the heel off the ground. And you can just take a nice little stretch here. through the body, lengthening from the crown of the head to the heel. 4, 5, 4. Don't hold your breath. 2 and 1. Bring that right foot down. Go ahead and take a little hip sway here. Beautiful. So we're going to go ahead and take that left foot back. And that heel is going to be in a little bit. Our toes are going to be pointed just to the left a little. Right hand's going to rest on a block or the floor. And we're going to open up to the left hand to the sky. So we're going to press into that front heel, bend into the knee a little bit, and just draw yourself up. And then peaceful warrior. Again, our stance not quite as wide as normal, but that's okay. Exhale, bring it down. And rainbow, windmill, those hands down. And we're going to flip the left foot so our toes are forward. And we want to come into railroad tracks, not a balance beam here. We're not doing gymnastics. So we're going to want to have our balance secure. Nice little foundation here. And again, just once you get settled, let your shoulders relax. And then we're going to drop that left hip down just a little bit. Our right hip, you're going to feel it kind of slide back. Press into the right big toe to keep your foot planted. Press into the back heel and then the toes. So we've got lots happening here, especially in the legs. Our neck should be relaxed, shoulders away from the ears. Take another breath. And then when you're ready, we're going to bend into the front knee again. And our weight is in our heel, not in the toes. Walk your block forward or your hands forward. And we're going to start to lift that back heel, straighten out the front leg. And then if you choose, go ahead and lift the back leg out just a little bit, any amount. Still keeping our heels nice and flat. And again, any amount might be just lifting the heel off the ground. Not a big deal. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Relax the legs down, wiggle the hips just a little bit. And then come into stillness here, pressing all the toes down into the ground, maybe even bending into the booty just a little bit, bending those knees. Go ahead and relax your hands down. And we're going to roll up. And when you do, connect to those glutes so we can feel the posterior chain of the body. And then our hands are going to reach all the way up. Go ahead and clasp the fingers together. Point your pointer fingers towards the sky, making like a little steeple. Remember that? Here's the church, here's the steeple. Open the door, and there's all the people. That's what you want, except for your fingers are on the outside, not the inside. And so we're going to connect to our core here just a little bit, and we're going to soften our tailbone. We're going to let it relax. And then just a little bit, tiny, tiny circles with the fingers. And you're going to feel, hopefully, that your movement is coming from your core. And then the other direction, just a little bit. Really connecting to the belly here, maybe gazing at the sky, maybe gazing forward, and then come back into center and go ahead and release the hands. We're going to bring them behind our backs, clasp them one more time, and then just open up through the shoulders. And again, we want our tailbone relaxed. We're connected to our belly. We're gazing towards the sky. And bend into your knees just a little bit and start to come forward. So we're going to come parallel to the ground. Now, depending on your shoulders, if it feels comfortable, you can lift. If not, just let your shoulders relax. Hands at the base of the spine. We're going to connect to our core. Set your booty back. Relax your hands down and come into chair. We're softening our tailbone. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Relax the hands, stand up, roll those shoulders. I'm just going to go ahead and take a step here to come and face you for just a few moments. And we're just going to work a little bit on that upper back, relaxing those muscles at the base of the neck. So let's go ahead and bring our hands and arms into our goalpost or cactus. Now, if you want, you can spread the feet a little bit wider and you can play with goddess pose in this too, but that's totally optional. Just kind of depends on how you're feeling in your squat situation today. So elbows out from our shoulders, we're connected to our core. We're going to take an inhale and we're going to lift fingertips to the sky. Now, if you are in goddess, you're going to straighten out your legs. Here's where your power is coming from, your shoulders. My upper back is completely engaged. We're going to exhale and it's almost like we're pulling down the arms, letting the elbows come down. All of our power is coming from that upper back. Here we go, lifting. It's almost like we're pushing, squeegeeing the arms up using lots of resistance. Let's just do a few more. Bring it down. You got this. Stretching it up. And notice I'm not really straightening my arms out just because I am holding that up, the upper back muscles in very, very tightly. Now, this time when we come up, just bring the arms back to where they were. Relax, relax the back, roll the shoulders a little bit, and shake out the arms if that feels good. And then bring them back. And then from here, we're going to hug those shoulder blades back this time. Instead of up and down, we're going to hug them back, bringing those elbows back. And then we're going to exhale and we're going to bring elbows forward. Now, if it feels good, you can roll elbows down to your belly, chin to chest, and then inhale and hug those shoulders back again. And exhale, coming forward. Let's do that one more time. Opening up. And last time, bringing elbows, forearms together. They don't have to touch. It's just the motion. And then this time, we're just going to bring ourselves up. Relax the shoulders, heel toe, the legs back together if they happen to be apart. Then we're going to come into a little standing position and just play a little bit with our balance here. We've already done quite a bit with our balance with the warrior 3 and pyramid and all those good shapes. But let's shift our weight into the left side of our body and let's align. So we want our hips above our ankle and we want our shoulder above the hip. Connect to your core. Go ahead and bring your arms out to the side, dropping the shoulders. If your arms are tired, you can also just leave them at your waist. Totally up to you. And we're going to just take an inhale and we're going to lift our right leg. Go ahead and take a few breaths here. And then if you'd like, you can open up the leg to the side. Now, if that feels like too much, drop your toe. Just opening up the hip here. And then another challenge is to bring that right hand to the right knee and gaze over the left hand. And if that's not accessible, do not worry. Come on back to center and relax that leg down. Nice job. Go ahead and shift the hips a little bit. We can do some hip circles. Which also is really good to release tension in the low spine. Figure 8s are really good too. They're a little bit trickier to do, but they feel really good. And then let's go ahead and come to the right side. Plant the foot, lengthen from the heel to the knee, to the hip. We're in alignment, all the way to your shoulder. When you're ready, arms out or at your side, we're connecting to our core. Our core is what is helping us lift our leg. You could bend into that left knee or right knee just a little bit. And then let's open to the side. And then if you want, we can play here and gaze over the right hand, which is very challenging. But if you happen to have a wall or something that you can just put your right fingertips on, that's a great way to practice. One more breath. And when you're ready, just go ahead and bring that forward and bring your feet down. Take a little jog here. Get some juices flowing through those legs. You're so good to you today. Okay, come to the front of the mat again, please. Settle your soles of your feet down, lengthen through the body. Relax the fingers down away from the shoulders. Soften your brow. Relax your jaw. You can close your eyes down for just a couple of moments and we'll just pause and breathe here. And I would love for you just to take a little journey through the body, starting at the feet, coming up the calves and the knees, up the thighs, around the groin, our hips, our booty, into the belly, the ribs, the waist, the heart, the shoulders, checking into the arms, your back, your neck, and your head. And perhaps offering yourself just a note of gratitude. Such lovely bodies being able to move and stabilize and get stronger. Maybe thank yourself for showing up to the mat today. And then on your next inhale, fingertips to the sky. And then we'll swan dive into our forward fold. You can bend your knees generously if you'd like, releasing the breath. Inhale, hands to the shins, find your flat back. Exhale, fingertips down to the mat or your blocks. And we're going to be very careful as we maneuver our way down. Come into the center of the mat, bring those toes together, open the knees, find a child's pose. And we'll just be here for a couple of breaths. We're going to do one little front body stretch before we come onto our backs and into our final resting pose. So let's go ahead and come out of our child's pose and we're going to bring our knees in. And I would love for you just to walk your hands out and then shift your pubic bone towards the floor. Press into the shoulders. Now you'll notice my shoulders are back and away from my ears. And if this brings tension to your low back, squeeze your butt cheeks. And then look up and hopefully you're getting a little stretch through the belly. Nice deep breath in. And release the breath. Go ahead and press your hips back up. And we're just going to make our way back onto our backside. So once you arrive here, we're going to stretch our feet to the sky. You can take your hands, make a little diamond, and put it underneath your low back if that helps for a little more balance. Your low back. I'd love for you just to let your legs relax a little bit here. Just let them float in space. If you want, you can stretch the toes or rotate through the ankles, but I really would love your muscles just to not do anything. And your knees will probably bend. That's okay. Let's take one more breath here. And then we're going to connect to our belly and we're going to just let our legs stretch out. We're connecting to the core and releasing all the way down. If you have your hands underneath your booty, release them and relax them at your side or somewhere else that feels appropriate. Maybe rock the head gently from side to side for just a couple of moments. It always feels so good. You're going to let your knees and toes relax off to the side as much as they need. We're going to soften the brow. We're going to soften the jaw. And we're going to come back to the breath. Shut down the gaze if it feels appropriate. If you prefer to gaze at the ceiling, I just want to ask that you look at one spot and not look around. And come back to letting your energy drop to the earth. Almost like you're a snow globe, right? And you've been shooken up, and now the snow is starting to build up all along the back of the body. So you have this little pile of snow, a little heavier, a little denser, and then above you, kind of water or air, a little lighter. Let's take 5 more breaths. And in these 5 breaths, you're welcome to stay absolutely still. You can take a little stretch or a big stretch. And when you feel ready, you're going to start to welcome yourself back into an upright position in whatever way that feels right to you. And you can certainly roll to your side and stay for a couple of breaths if that feels lovely. And I'm just going to read this one more time as we come to our seated position. The path to enlightenment is not a path at all, but a metaphor for the time it takes to live in joy no matter what. Thank you so much for being a joy and an inspiration for me to come to my mat. I'm so grateful to be able to lead you in a practice. And thank you so much for your support, Q Wellness. And I hope you have the most beautiful day. Namaste.